Tales of Veldrith, written and produced by Matty Taylor. Book 2, The Lens of Power, Episode 14, The Mark of the Sun. The knock at Vestinus's door came just as he was poring over an ancient tome. The symbols on the burned parchment before him glowed faintly under the light of his desk lantern, their jagged lines eerily similar to something he had seen centuries ago. The interruption, though unwelcome, was not unexpected.
"Come in,"
he called, his deep voice cutting through the quiet. Eira Thorsdottir entered, her usual confidence tempered by urgency. She was dressed in her travelling leathers, streaked with soot and dirt from the morning's discovery. Her pale hair was pulled into a hasty braid, and her blue eyes carried the weight of something grave.
"You've heard?"
she asked without preamble. Vestinus gestured to the tome.
"I've seen the symbols you described. They're old. Older than Jorvik, older than the ley lines that run beneath it. They're connected to a cult I thought extinct."
Eira crossed her arms, her expression hardening.
"The solar cult?"
Vestinus nodded.
Their worship of the sun wasn't just devotion, it was obsession. They sought power through an artifact called the Auroral Lens, a relic that magnifies sunlight into destructive energy.
"We found their handiwork in the woods,"
Eira said.
"The caravan was destroyed, the gods slaughtered. They carved those symbols into the ground, as if marking their victory."
Vestinus stood, his towering frame casting a long shadow on the wall. His crimson skin glinted in the lamplight, his horns giving him the aspect of a demon. He retrieved a thin blade from the corner of his study, slipping it into his belt.
If they're active again, it means they've found something, or someone, tied to the artifact.
Eira frowned.
"A survivor from the caravan mentioned fire that spoke and claimed the sun itself would burn the world."
The cult's doctrine.
Vestinus said, his tone grim.
They believe that through the auroral lens, they can channel the sun's energy to purge the unworthy and create a new world in its image.
"Then they're preparing for something big,"
Eira said.
"What's our move?"
Vestinus glanced at the tome on his desk, then at the weapons on his wall.
We investigate the ruins they've left. The markings will tell us where they're headed next. If we're lucky, we can stop them before they find the lens.
They set out an hour later, accompanied by 2 of Eira's most trusted guards. The path to the caravan site was sombre, the charred scent of destruction growing stronger with each step. When they arrived, Vestinus paused to take in the scene. Wagons reduced to ash, bodies scattered like broken toys, and those same glowing symbols etched into the earth. Vestinus knelt, tracing the edges of the largest sigil. His claws hovered over the grooves, the faint pulse of residual magic thrumming through his fingertips.
This is a convergence point,
he murmured. Eira crouched beside him.
"A convergence of what?"
The ley lines,
Vestinus explained.
They intersect here, providing the cult with the energy they need for their rituals. These symbols amplify the flow of magic, allowing them to communicate with whatever it is they worship.
He leaned closer, inspecting the centre of the sigil where a burned patch of ground radiated heat even now.
This was no ordinary fire. It was summoned, directly tied to the artifact they seek.
One of the guards approached, his voice cautious.
"We found tracks leading deeper into the woods. A large group headed west."
Vestinus stood, brushing ash from his knees.
They're moving fast. They'll want to reach their next convergence point before we can stop them.
Eira nodded, her expression resolute.
"Then we follow. But this time, we take the fight to them."
As they pressed deeper into the forest, the signs of the cult's presence became increasingly apparent. Trees bore scorch marks in strange patterns, and the undergrowth was trampled as if by a large procession. The air grew warmer, thick with an unnatural humidity that prickled at the skin. Night had fallen by the time they reached a clearing. Vestinus motioned for the group to halt, his keen eyes scanning the dark shapes ahead. A ruined structure rose in the distance, its silhouette jagged and foreboding against the starlit sky.
The second site,
Vestinus said.
Another ruin tied to the ley lines.
Eira squinted into the darkness.
"And it's occupied."
Torches burned around the ruins, their flickering light revealing robed figures standing guard. The faint hum of chanting drifted through the clearing, carrying with it a sense of foreboding.
We can't let them complete their ritual.
Eira whispered, unsheathing her sword.
What's the plan?
Vestinus surveyed the area, his mind racing.
I'll disrupt the ritual while you and your men handle the guards. We need to scatter them before they can finish.
Eira grinned, her eyes glinting with determination.
Then let's get to it.
The attack was swift and precise. Eira led her guards into the fray, their weapons cutting through the cultists with ruthless efficiency. The chanting faltered as the robed figures turned to face their attackers, their torches casting chaotic shadows across the ruins. Vestinus slipped past the melee, his crimson form moving like a wraith. He reached the centre of the ruins, where a large stone pedestal glowed with the same eerie light as the sigils at the caravan site. A golden disc lay atop it, radiating heat and pulsing with arcane energy.
The lens fragment.
Vestinus realised, his heart sinking.
They're piecing it back together.
Before he could act, a figure emerged from the shadows. Dressed in elaborate robes, the man carried a staff adorned with sun motifs, his face hidden behind a mask resembling a solar flare.
Vestinus,
The man said, his voice calm but dripping with contempt.
I've been expecting you.
Vestinus gripped his blade, his gaze narrowing.
Who are you?
The man removed his mask, revealing sharp features and eyes that burned with amber light.
I am Solaris, chosen of the sun, and you, fallen one, are too late.
With a wave of his staff, Solaris unleashed a surge of fiery energy, forcing Vestinus to dive for cover. The fragment on the pedestal glowed brighter, feeding off the ritual's energy.
Eira!
Vestinus shouted, rising to his feet.
The fragment! Destroy it!
The battle raged around them, but the air grew heavier, the heat more intense. As Vestinus and Solaris clashed, each strike reverberating with power, the fate of the Auroral Lens and Jorvik hung in the balance.